Say hi to Charlie. He just ascended into the glorious ranks of PC gaming. He's even set himself up with a few controllers for local gaming with his buddies. Yes, every so often, he moves his PC to the living room for some Lethal League and Nidhogg with his nerdy little friends.
Gee whiz, ever since I started playing the local multiplayer PC games with my friends, I sure have gotten popular.
Isn't it everything you've ever dreamed of?
Yeah, well, almost. You see, since I have these games, I'm the only one who has a chance to practice. While my friends only have their playboxes and Wii 60s, I keep beating them and they don't come over nearly as often.
Oh, well, never fear. There are plenty of games out there that let you and your friends work toward a common goal, cooperatively. Now you can all feel like winners.
Golly, that sounds super, but how do I know which ones are good?
Well, you could browse the local co-op tags on Steam, or I could show you a few of my favorites.
Jiminy Jillikers!
Wow, Castle Crashers has been around for 7 years. Most likely, this game is not new to you, but I couldn't make a local co-op list without including Castle Crashers. If by some miracle you haven't played or heard of Castle Crashers by now, but you've played old arcade beat-em-ups like X-Men, Turtles in Time, or that old Simpsons arcade game that was in every arcade ever, it's kind of like that, but with the cartoony, Newgroundsy flair. Castle Crashers is pretty easy to pick up and play. You can get away with button mashing most of the time, but it can be involved too if you're the kind of player who likes to memorize combos. You can also do this crazy air juggle thing that lets you knock around enemies like a goddamn tornado. Can you imagine getting 4 players to do that all at the same time? That would be awesome. This next one should come as no surprise either. Plenty of people have heard of Binding of Isaac, and the original was one of my favorite roguelikes. Co-op was never in the first game. In fact, it didn't even have controller support. The options actually linked you to Joy-to-Key. They're like, hey, you want to control a script? Write it your fucking self. Co-op mode dumps you into the same procedurally generated dungeon scenario that you're used to. You collect money, bombs, and items and basically get as far as you can. Except when player 2 presses start, they borrow one of your hearts and take control of a fetal familiar that can help you shoot baddies. Just be careful not to waste each other's hearts. You're basically sharing a health bar. In fact, whenever you get stuck in a super chaotic room, there's twice as much likelihood of losing hearts. So if you're not both pro at Binding of Isaac, things can get messy super quick. But that's part of the fun of playing a roguelike. It's hard. You need to get coordinated. You need to float like a hover car and hit like a hover tank. That's a thing people say. Of course, I had to include Portal 2. Co-op in this game has its own unique storyline where you play as 2 adorable test-solving robots. The puzzles are complex and feel rewarding to complete, and GLaDOS is in your ear the whole time making snide remarks at your performance.
As an impartial collaboration facilitator, it would be unfair of me to name my favorite member of your team. However, it's perfectly fair to hint at it in a way that my least favorite member probably isn't smart enough to understand. Friends with Blue Orange, you are doing very well.
It feels good when you finally find the solution to a difficult puzzle, and that goes double for solving puzzles with a buddy. If you like Portal 2's single player, you'll probably like the co-op campaign, and your friends probably will too. Here we go with another co-op roguelike. Spelunky is a procedurally generated game where you must find your way to the end of the dungeon, collecting treasure and rescuing damsels along the way. There's a lot of trial and error in Spelunky, and if you run through gotta go fast style, you'll probably die pretty quick. Also, the temptation to throw your co-op partner is overwhelming. At least for me it is. Just make sure your co-op partner isn't me. Like Binding of Isaac, Spelunky is about getting as far as you can. It's hard, but you have to persevere. Get really good at throwing stuff, collect items, get a lot of bombs, throw each other. Wait, no, don't throw each other. Next game. Broforce is a chaotic side-scrolling shooter. It's one of those games where you die a lot, but not in a punishing way like Dark Souls, but more like Super Meat Boy or Hotline Miami where death is just a minor setback. You and up to 3 friends must destroy the enemy base. You accomplish this by summoning the wrath of the ancient god of explosions in a ritual that involves killing Satan, raising an American flag, and riding away on a rope ladder of a chopper. The ancient deity signals the success of the ritual by blowing up the map with the flex of his pecs. At least I think that's how it happens. You never actually set up explosives in this game, so I don't know. Maybe they were just already there, who knows. Broforce has an ever-growing number of playable characters based off of copyright-safe versions of characters from action movies. They all play differently, so you have to constantly adjust your playstyle depending on which bro you are. Rescuing bros gives you an extra life for the level, but it also changes your bro, so try not to get too attached. There's also a cross-promo demo version of Broforce called Expendabros, so you can try before you buy. Bleed is an arcade-style, side-scrolling shoot-'em-up where you play a cartoony-looking, pink-haired girl whose goal it is to become the world's greatest hero. Naturally, in order to do this, she needs to murder the top 6 heroes of all time in cold blood. Good plan. A second player has the option to drop in and drop out at any time, but you share a health bar, so make sure you're not the one who gets killed or you're in trouble with your co-op partner. But if player 2 gets stuck in a hairy situation, they can just drop out and pop back in when it's safe. Which, considering the fact that you share a life bar, this makes certain parts a lot easier. Like when there's a lot of platforming, player 2 can drop out and let player 1 take care of it, so you don't have to get delayed every time somebody doesn't make a jump. Speaking of jumping, you jump with the right trigger, which takes some getting used to. There's also a time slowing element that I keep forgetting about. I kept doing that in Max Payne too. Well, not Max Payne 2, just Max Payne in general. It's really helpful too, you just gotta remember, left trigger, slow down time.
Left trigger, slow down time. Left trigger, slow down time. Next game.
Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet is a Metroidvania game, but the co-op challenge is an entirely different mode, so I won't go too deep into single player, except for that if you like Metroidvanias, you'll probably like this. As for co-op, there are 2 challenge modes, Shadow Hunters and Lantern Run. Lantern Run is a race against an ever-advancing wall of shadowy tentacles where you have to simultaneously take care of your lantern and fight off enemies while staying ahead of the death wall. Shadow Hunters is a mode where you must carry a bomb to the center of an asteroid. Both are extremely challenging, and it's easy to get hooked on trying to get as far as you can. Like a roguelike. I guess Shadow Hunters is kind of a roguelike. You get as far as you can, you pick up power-ups, and when you die, you're like, okay, one more. Oh, we didn't last too long that time either. Just one more. Jeez, I think I just cracked the roguelike formula. Disclaimer. Serious Sam BFE does not look like this unless you have a somewhat past its prime gaming PC and are also recording at the same time. You will most likely not experience these performance issues. What you will experience is a fun classic style FPS with excellent co-op implementation. The gameplay is great with the controller too, at least for an FPS. Probably because there's quite a bit of auto aim, but who cares? It feels great to play. You can also change your screen format to whatever you want, or at least whatever's practical. If you haven't played a Serious Sam game before, think of how shooters used to be back in the 90s, but throw in an insane amount of baddies to mow down with a variety of different weapons. Like a chain gun. Who doesn't love chain guns? So, Charlie, what do you think?
Gee, I can't wait to play all these games with all my friends.
There's no doubt about it. You'll be the most popular kid in school.
Say, mister, you left out a game that I really like.
Well then, just go down to the comment section of this video and let me know what I missed. That way, if there's ever a part 2, I'll know which games to include.
Gee, that sounds swell.
It sure does, Charlie. It sure does. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, check out another video of mine here. Operators are standing by. Or subscribe for more. Click the link or call 1-800-SUBSCRIBE-TODAY. That's 1-800-SUBSCRIBE-TODAY.